Star Wars Outlaws will only take around 30 hours to complete and isn't a game you would play from start to finish several times, according to lead systems designer Matteo Desile and John Bjorling, associate narrative director. What's happening, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new Star Wars Outlaws video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over an interview by Julian Garrity, who revealed the length of time it will take you to complete Star Wars Outlaws. And we're also going to be going over another interview of lead systems designer Matteo Desile and associate narrative director John Bjorling, who covered the replayability of the game. In an interview with Video Games Chronicle following the game's big reveal at Monday's Ubisoft Forward Showcase, Julian Garrity discussed how long the game will take to complete, as well as the decision to cut a significant feature from Massive's original vision for the game. Julian said very early on, "We decided this is going to be a 25 to 30 hours Golden Path adventure, 50 to 60 hours though for completionists, and that is for somebody with a family and a full-time job. So it is still a fair amount of time. But it is not an Assassin's Creed game with 200 hours worth of gameplay. So that allowed Ubisoft to really focus on the detail in-game. It allows us to focus, maybe with a smaller team, on executing something that is manageable." Video Games Chronicle also asked Julian Garrity if Massive were able to put everything into the game that it originally wanted to, or if some aspects of the vision had to be compromised in any way. Julian said, as a creator, he's a big believer in setting an initial vision that is exciting, ambitious, and achievable. It's super important to make sure that everybody who's working on the game is working in the same direction towards the same goal. On Star Wars Outlaws, the vision has been more or less respected. He means 95% respected. Some things have been added and a few things have been changed or removed, but very little. So for example, removed, Julian wanted swimming. The first few iterations of the pitch we did, we loved the idea of having swimming, but it's not possible, Animation said. It's not possible in terms of the scope of the game. So okay, we can live without it, we'll do without it, and there's plenty of other things that they can explore. For example, the mini-games. He said that all of the mini-games they have in the game, Sabak, and the arcade games, etc., none of those were originally planned, they were added during development. So there is a little bit of give and take. Now, is 25 to 60 hours long enough for a AAA title like Star Wars Outlaws? For me personally, I think they are charging a lot of money for what could only be 25 to 30 hours worth of entertainment for some people. Considering you can spend up to £120, I think it is, for an edition of this game, and you may only spend 60 hours completing the game 100% if you do only play it the once, it's basically costing you £2 an hour, which doesn't sound like a lot, but considering how games were back in the day when you would spend £40 to £50 on the base version of the game and they would provide you probably about 20 to 30 hours worth of game time, I think the sort of value in games these days has just gone down. You are paying a lot more for probably around the same amount of time in some cases. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the game is like to judge whether or not it is actually worth the money we are going to be paying for the amount of time we are going to be playing the game. And now on to the second point I wanted to raise in this video, which is the replayability. Now on the replayability, this did come from an interview with lead systems designer Matteo Desile and associate narrative director John Bjorling. This is what they said about replayability. You can make choices in the game, and you can go back on some of these choices to a certain extent. So they believe that this isn't a game you would play from start to finish several times to get variation in the story, because you can go back on some of the decisions you have made in the game. They also said that alliances can turn throughout the game, so you can turn on one syndicate, but then go back to them by committing more time to that specific syndicate that you want to improve your relationship with. And because you don't join syndicates, you do just build relationships with them and then tarnish them, and then you can go back and rebuild it again if you want to. You don't need to play the game multiple times to see every possible outcome. If you choose in a game to bribe or not bribe an NPC, it will lead to different narrative outcomes, but it won't change the overall direction of the game. All it will do will offer you different rewards or penalties for the decisions you make. They think that because you can go back on decisions you've made, you can improve relationships and then destroy them if you want to and then rebuild them, that there is more than enough for a rich experience in one playthrough. Now to me, it doesn't sound like a good thing that the lead systems designer and associate narrative director are telling you that basically you can only play this game one time. They feel like it's not really worth going back through and completing it a second time when it's only going to take you 25 to 60 hours if you are a completionist, and in some cases it's going to cost you £120. For £120, I would like a lot of replayability. If it is only going to take me 30 hours to get through the main story, I would like to think that I can go back through and replay it again and get a bit of a different outcome or a bit of a different experience. But if you can do that all in the one playthrough, then there is no real point in going back through and replaying the game unless you just really want to experience the story all over again. I hate to sound really negative, but it just doesn't sound good to me, like I've said, when developers on the game are coming out and saying that they don't think there's enough material there for you to go through and replay the game multiple times. I mean, it does sound good when they are saying that there's more than enough content in the game to give you a rich experience in one playthrough. So there is kind of a positive and a negative in that interview for me, especially around replayability. I wasn't really shocked when Julian Garrity came out and said that it would only take about 30 or 25 hours to complete the main story, because in the most recent Ubisoft game I've played, Assassin's Creed Mirage, the story wasn't really that long. To obviously complete the game 100%, it did take a lot longer, which is why it will take you up to 60 hours to complete Star Wars Outlaws 100%. I would just like it if this game gave you different outcomes depending on which crime syndicates you sided with, especially since you can build reputations with them. I would like to think that if I played the game building a really strong reputation with the Hutts and working with the Hutts throughout the game, that the story would be a little bit different compared to if I spent the whole time working with the Pikes, building a strong relationship with the Pikes and going through the game on the side of the Pikes. But I guess, again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens when the game comes out and how it actually works. Can I side with the Hutts for most of the game, but then just before I complete the story, destroy my reputation with the Hutts and go and build a reputation with other crime syndicates to get opportunities with them as well? Or will it be a case that once you get past a certain point in the story, you can't really go back and get certain missions from the crime syndicates because you've progressed the story too much? But that is it for this video, so please do let me know down in the comment section below what you think about the main story of Star Wars Outlaws only taking 25 to 30 hours to complete and 50 to 60 hours for completionists. Also, let me know what you think about the replayability factor. If you have enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, make sure to smash a like on it to show support for Star Wars Outlaws on the channel. And if you are new to the channel and you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful, make sure to subscribe to be kept up to date with all future content. But other than that, we'll see you in the next video.